As a kid, I had no shortage of shows to watch pertaining to mystery, horror, and the unknown. The Sci-Fi Channel was at its peak with original films and shows while also airing reruns of the classic Twilight Zone. But when those weren't there, I could always find the Scooby-Doo running on Boomerang or Cartoon Network. The variety was there too. The classic Scooby-Doo, A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, the spin-off shows and movies. My favorite to watch was definitely What's New Scooby-Doo, which came with more impressive animation and more of a grounded style than what A Pup Named Scooby-Doo would bring. However, when it came to grounded, or should I say more dangerous Scooby-Doo, there was no denying that the anthology films were head and shoulders above the rest. Scooby and the gang had been running around catching men in masks since 1969. While the process could get repetitive, the charm was there, and different variations continue to this very day. In the 1990s, however, popularity of those meddlesome kids and their dog increased due to reruns of the original cartoon and A Pup Named Scooby-Doo airing from September 10th, 1988 to August 17th, 1991. Come 1998, and director Jim Stenstrom, along with writers Glenn Leopold and Davis Doy, would release the film Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. In this tale of mystery, the gang has been separated for several years. However, when Daphne has a chance to find some real ghost, the team unites once more. Heading to Louisiana, they are invited to Moonscar Island, which has been experiencing missing people and paranormal hauntings. Surely, it's just a man in a mask, for what is a live ghost but an oxymoron? The mystery begins to unravel in the third act of a Scooby-Doo caper. While the not-so-jolly Green Giant gives chase, we get a pretty solid rendition of the titular theme. Oh, and this show makes a point to magnify that the danger is clear and most definitely present. Eventually, the chase comes to a close.
And I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for that big dog and you meddling kids.
This is attempted murder, asshole. Skipping forward several years, we learn that the gang has gone their separate ways. Daphne and Freddy run a TV show, Shaggy and Scoob are using their talents for the TSA, and Velma is there to make slightly obscured references.
Yes, we do carry the Hair Razors series.
Well, that's boring, and the dynamic duo are out of a job, so one call by Freddy easily recruits them for one last journey. So down to Louisiana we go, but along the way, why not solve a few mysteries? We get another solid song in what could have honestly been Scooby-Doo episodes, but what's this? Daphne is dismayed at them all being men in masks.
The ghost is here, he's protecting Saloon. The ghost is here, give him the boot, he's fake.
To her rescue comes Lena, voiced by Tara Strong. This woman really does voice act and everything. Anyway, she works as a chef on Moonscar Island, which she claims is actually haunted. Despite Fred's assurance, it's a man in a mask. The gang takes up the offer. Oh, now would probably be a good time to say that none of the original cast, save for Frank Welker as Fred, reprise their roles. This marks the first time Casey Kasem did not voice Shaggy. Instead, Billy West took over. The reason for Casey was because Shaggy wasn't a vegan like him. This first arose in a 1995 Burger King commercial. He refused to voice the character in future projects because of this incident. The remainder of the crew is as follows. Velma is B.J. Ward. Daphne is Mary Kay Bergman. And finally, Scooby is Scott Ines. Well, with the aid of the ferryman Jock, played by Jim Cummings of Darkwing Duck fame, they traverse the bayou. Problems arise quickly as Shaggy and Scoob go overboard. With the ship barely turning and the Crocs in the water, it seems the final meal of their lives will be them. Until...
Thanks, mister. Should've let the gators eat you. I can't stand tourists.
Well, this absolute ray of sunshine is Snakebite Scruggs, voiced by Mark Hamill of all people. Never realized how many big names are in this film. He's upset about Shaggy and Scoob splashing, chasing away the giant catfish, Big Mona. Him and his hunting hog, Mojo, are none too happy about that. After that incident, we move on to the pepper plantation house. Oh, and Scoob is a pretty good boy. Loyal, brave at times, and friendly. Well, in this film they gave him an unbridled hatred of all feline kind, so when he sees cats, he goes full Terminator. This does lead to us meeting Simone, voiced by Adrienne Barbeau, who is literally a MILF.
So, Miss Lenoir, is your house really...
Haunted? Yes. It is an old house with restless spirits.
Yeah, Fred Lena is nice, but Simone, I got a pepper for her. Oh, anyways, she doesn't like dogs, but is intrigued at the idea of Daphne doing a piece on the ghost hauntings of this plantation. Oh, and there's the easily angered gardener Bo, voiced by Cam Clark.
Sure, I'll take care of it.
Well, new place, new monster, new food. And this is a pepper plantation. Yep, I've been there before. Food is the one thing you can get burned in, yet acquire a fondness for.
I wasn't exaggerating when I said they were the hottest peppers in Louisiana.
Oh, but it isn't the hottest thing on this island. Now it's time to send a message, and there's no way you can misinterpret this one, but just in case.
You can feel the chill in the air. Cut! Who opened a window? Nobody. Look!
Oh, and Velma is seriously regretting her skirt size.
This just gets better and better. Maybe from where you're standing.
This paranormal activity reveals a pirate ghost, and Simone informs them that it is the ghost of Morgan Moonscar, a pirate who came to the island, known as you may have figured for his unique scar. Much to the sheer delight of Daphne.
So, you're not going to heed Moonscar's threat?
Are you kidding? We don't scare that easily.
Like we do.
Yeah, we don't scare that easily, and my horny can easily overpower my fear. Attempting a picnic far away from the haunted residence, Scooby goes berserk on those damn cats. This leads to Mojo, which leads to our cowards of two landing in a pit. Shaggy attempts to escape, but ends up unearthing the skeletal remains of Moonscar. I think the bones need proper forensic investigation or something. Yeah, warpstone magic works too. I'm guessing the cats keep the Skaven at bay. Oh, and nice little loophole there with the rust. At least I believe it's meant to be rust. Well, no one died. Oh, shit, someone did die of the rust. Running into Bo, they bring everyone to the hole, and suspicion falls on Bo, who claims to have been planting flowers.
What are you planting? Elephants? That hole is huge.
It's about 6 feet deep, actually. Come nightfall, they all prepare for dinner, and we get some rather interesting gags and callbacks.
Nah.
Oh, but there's cats all over the place, so Shaggy and Scoob take some crawfish to go and seek out some peace and quiet. So quiet, a pin drop could wake the dead. Wait a minute. The sounds of their screams alert everyone, and they set out to find them. Right on cue, after setting out, they find Bo. Splitting up, Velma goes with him, and things get a bit heated over why he's a suspect.
Quicksand.
Jinkies. Thanks. But you're still a suspect.
Meanwhile, Daphne and Fred find not only Shaggy and Scoob, but one of the masked men. They are masked, right?
That's the ferryman. Oh, maybe it's real.
Give the creators props once more. Considering this is a kids' movie following up a pup named Scooby-Doo, the film has some surprisingly terrifying designs. These zombies are just a bit of gore away from some Lucio Fulci work. Okay, maybe a lot of gore. And a shark.
You're not a skeptic, Fred. You're in denial.
No, Daphne, he's in the bayou. This next song is genuinely pretty good and might even see use next 31 Days of Halloween.
And it's terror time again. They've got you running through the night.
It is over rather fast, though. Things get rather magical as Scooby and Shaggy begin playing with wax dolls that levitate the gang into the air.
Jinkies, sorry.
Don't you lie, Velma. I see your figure's arms are down, so you just saw an open in the cold clock bow for grabbing you earlier, and you took it. That skirt is short, but the grudge is long. Some bats break up playtime, and the trio plus Bo hear Lena's screams. Rushing back to the plantation house, finding her in a secret passage, she explains how the zombies drag Simone away. Finding an older room, they are set upon by Simone and Lena, now equipped with their dolls plus one for Bo. Oh, and if you thought the zombies were abnormal, Simone has lived for 200 years.
I've been getting away with it for 200 years.
Japan has better cat girls, but I'd still do it. We jump back to Scooby and Shaggy that find out the ferryman is actually a cat man. Simone recounts a true story, and damn did they get away with some dark stuff, at least implied, but definitely did happen in the story. Turns out the settlers of this island worship some cat god, must have been Egyptian. Moonscar did show up, and he ended up riding, then driving the survivors into the bayou to become Gator Chow.
We uttered a curse on the pirates to destroy them as they had destroyed our island. Our wish was granted.
Turns out that the god they worship is a bit of a dick, because he made them wear cats, but it turned out to be a curse. Luckily, all sorts of people kept showing up to the island, like these spice traders building a nice pepper plantation. I skipped over a few details for the sake of time, but yeah, part of the house was from Moonscar's ship, and the mirror in Shaggy's room was owned by a Confederate regiment. As for Jock, well, he just wanted immortality, and they needed a way to ferry back and forth. Speaking of Jock, it seems the zombies don't like cats. Always knew they preferred dogs. Shag and Scoob crashed the party just in time to witness Simone and Lena's final form. Is it too late to mention a Japanese company animated this? Also, no, I wouldn't hit. I have standards, and furry degenerates fall below those standards. Just in time, the zombies break in. Velma unties her doll, and with some fabric from the werecats, they turn the tables. Speaking of tables, this one says time's up. Well, that was terrifying. But hey, the threat is over, the victims' spirits are saved. Oh, and Bo was a detective all along. With one final Mark Hamill appearance, we end on Scooby befriending the cats.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo!
So that was Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, and it's definitely one of the best showings the Hanna-Barbera gang has seen. While I recall preferring its sequel, this one still manages to hold its own for both fans of Scooby-Doo and myself, as well as newcomers. The film was made on a very surprising $10 million budget, while being supported by a $50 million ad campaign. It clearly paid off, as it would acquire $164,989,498 worldwide, not counting its incredibly high sales in the home video market. It premiered September 22nd, 1998 in the USA, with a final TV premiere in Germany 3rd of January 2009. The animation of the movie was handed off to Mook Animation, who had worked prior with the company owning Scooby-Doo. Hiroshi Oyama and Kazumi Fukushima handled directing the animation overseas, but are not credited in the film. They did such a good job, the film would be nominated for an Annie Award in Outstanding Animated Home Video Production, and for the MPSE Golden Reel for sound editing for direct-to-video, both in 1999. This is the first movie that doesn't have the special thanks to Joe Ruby and Ken Spears credit at the end. Instead, they got a credit for creating the characters. Funny enough, the next film to not credit anybody would be the supposed sequel, Scooby-Doo Return to Zombie Island, in 2019. But let's not talk about that one yet. Fred and Daphne saw a role reversal from a pup named Scooby-Doo, with Fred being the skeptic and Daphne being the believer. The film is dedicated to Don Messick, the original voice of Scooby-Doo, who passed away October 24th, 1997. The 3 songs in the film were done by the bands Third Eye Blind and Sky Cycle. In the film, it's mentioned that the tunnels were used to hide Civil War soldiers. With the island close to New Orleans, it's worth knowing that a naval battle did take place in New Orleans that saw a Confederate defeat April 25th, 1862. Now for the film, the animation has bits clearly meant to save on the budget, and there are glimpses of lower quality, but overall this is a very well made film, especially for direct-to-video. The growth of the characters is also interesting, just not played up a ton, which is fine by me. They do better than the live-action attempts. The mystery and story are great, and I find very interesting. I would say that the execution saw the most problems. Bo is the only real red herring, with Snakebite almost immediately being written off, and he does disappear from the film once the shit starts to go down. The werecats could be seen as too sudden, but I was fine with it. I did enjoy the foreshadowing and the hints used. Yes, there's the obvious ones, but there's 2 that play off classic tropes. One was the bats in the cave. You'd think it was a reference to the original intro, but it was most likely Simone scaring the duo out of the caves where they finally took place. Secondly, there was the quicksand and a zombie handing Shaggy a stick. You would think it was merely a gag, but it also serves to show that the zombies wanted to help. Stuff like that make me love this film all the more. However, I recall preferring the sequel, which is Ghost. Don't worry, I plan on hitting the entire anthology this October. Till then, don't watch the other sequel. It really isn't as interesting as you may think.
Like that was a lot less filling than I thought it would be.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.